Welcome to the Help for Leaders podcast. I'm Stacey Harris, and I'm passionate about showing leaders the power of communication and how it can transform their organizations, from Fortune 500 boardrooms all the way to brand new startups. As a leader, your actions and your words transform people and your company culture. So join me as I share tips and insights for elevating your leadership abilities as well as your team's performance. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to the Help for Leaders podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about all things DISC. If you've listened to any of my episodes previously, you've probably heard me talk about human behavior, and I thought it might be a good idea to give you a little bit of the background and a little bit of history into the DISC language. So what is DISC? First of all, it's an acronym for human behavior. And so the D stands for dominance. You may have heard words like direct or decisive. Those are also words that describe dominance. Influence is the letter I. You also can use the word interactive. Those are descriptors of that I continuum of human behavior. The S stands for steadiness. You may also have heard terms like stable. And then the C stands for conscientiousness or compliance. And so again, it's a human behavior model that really gives us a framework for communication. And so I want to just talk to you about what DISC is not before we talk about what it is. First of all, it has nothing to do with IQ. It doesn't measure your intelligence, okay? It also has nothing to do with measurement of education, training, past experience. It also has nothing to do with your values. So if it's none of that, what is it? Well, it's absolutely an observable language. It's culturally valid. You could travel around the world and you could see and observe these different styles because it's a universal language. And you can learn this language just like English or Spanish or French or German. DISC is a language to help us understand human behavior. So it's absolutely observable. It's universal, and it's a neutral language, meaning that there's no right or wrong. We're just different. There's no best style. And so really learning to appreciate the differences in our human behavior and how we communicate is the goal of DISC. So in simple terms, it's a measurement of how we do what we do, how we communicate. And it's so important. It's so key to helping you as an individual with self-awareness so you can learn about yourself and how you communicate more effectively. So I want to give you a little bit about the history of DISC. First of all, it's been around forever. If you even look back to 400 BC, Hippocrates observed these 4 different types of people. Now, he was a doctor, so he classified individuals in bodily fluids. Kind of disgusting, actually, but blood and black bile and yellow bile and phlegm. We don't use those terms any longer, thank goodness. In the 1920s, William Moulton Marston really classified the 4 different behavioral types and the behavioral theory that we use today. He wrote a book called Emotions of Normal People and really observing the behavior of individuals. And so all of the research and all of the assessments go back to Marston's work in the late 1920s. And then what he did not do was copyright DISC. He didn't create an assessment. So you may have taken a 4-quadrant type behavioral style indicator in the market. It most likely all goes back to Marston's work. And then in the 1950s, early 60s, a man named William Clark created our first assessment to actually measure human behavior. Lots of work has been done since then. And it first evolved into a paper assessment. You took it with a pen and paper. And then in the early 1980s, a computerized printout. I don't know if any of you remember, some of you probably weren't even born yet, those floppy disks. You could put it into your computer and actually fill out a survey and generate a report. And then in 1999, the first online assessment was created in the marketplace where an individual could go onto the web, take the assessment, and generate the results. So for 22 years, we've been collecting data across the world of individuals taking this assessment. It's actually available in over 40 languages, and we have national norms in over 23 countries. And it's really fascinating to look at different populations and the different percentages of behavioral styles. In the US, we have, as far as dominant behavior, about 18% of the population falls in that continuum. But Mexico actually has 26% high D behavior. Kind of fascinating. Other cultures have maybe less. And so we have all of that information. Peru has the highest percentage of high I's at 43%. They're my people. I need to go to Peru, I think. I'm a high I individual. The US population is 34% high I. And for instance, Singapore has the highest S population. The US is at 32%. Singapore, I think, is around 43%. And then lastly, that C continuum, the United States, about 13, maybe I'm wrong, 16% high C. I'm very low C, so that's a detail that I don't always remember. But I think it's the Dominican Republic that has the highest percentage of C behavior. So it's really fascinating to study just the globe. And again, it's observable. We could go to all these different cultures, watch people. I've been studying human behavior for 29 years. I can literally sit and watch an individual. They don't even have to say a word. And within about 30 to 60 seconds, I have a pretty good idea of what their behavioral style is. You too can learn how to observe individuals and how to communicate more effectively based on behavior. It's such an amazing tool to help you as an individual for self-awareness, to mitigate conflict that's maybe unnecessary, to be able to communicate more effectively. So that's how you can use it as an individual. You can also use it with your team. It's a fascinating tool to help team development. When you know more about yourself, when you know about the individuals on your team, again, you can absolutely talk through conflict in a healthy, productive way instead of a destructive way. And so it can be a great tool for teams to learn about themselves, to learn how they communicate, and to help in that way. And it's also a very effective tool for entire organizations. We've worked with some of the biggest companies on the globe, actually, in 40 different countries in all of those languages, using the assessment corporate-wide to really enhance communication, to develop leaders, to build teams, and for effective communication to continue throughout that organization. I'd love to invite you to take a free DISC assessment. We're offering a free work-from-home tool. It's an overview of your behavioral style. It's the first step. I would love for you to go to our website and you can take a free report. We're going to have the link in our bio. If you want more information, reach out. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to share with you how DISC can be a powerful tool in your organization, on your team, to really transform culture and help bridge those communication gaps. I hope you've learned something today about DISC. Thanks for joining us on our Help for Leaders podcast. Thank you for joining us today. You have the potential to communicate, engage, and lead with significant impact, and my goal is to help you do just that. Whether you're trying to get that next big promotion, scale your small business, or manage a team of thousands, there's always room for growth, and I can help you get there. Go to disc-report.com and find out what style of leader you are by downloading my free ebook on communication. Until next time, lead well and prosper.